So what makes the E46 M3 convertible so special? I mean, how many did they actually produce of this model?
So they produced just under 30,000 convertibles, and that's the total production run.
Okay.
So the M3, you know, the E46 chassis was introduced way back in 1999. My parents bought one of the first ones. But the M3 didn't arrive till spring of '01.
Okay.
And then the convertibles came in the fall of 2001.
Okay, and this is a 2002.
So this is a 2002. It was produced in very late in 2001. So it's one of the earlier ones.
You know, when you look at it, it's that Goldilocks era of BMW. And, you know, I have that E46 M3 Coupe, which I track, and you can check out the review of that. I'll put a link in the description. But everybody wants the Coupe as a collectible. Nobody wants the convertible as a collectible. So you can get these fairly cheap.
Exactly.
And if you want a good representation, I wouldn't pay more than probably 25. You know, we're in this condition, 6 feet away, it's probably worth about 11, 12. And this is exactly what you want, you know.
Exactly. As you may remember, I owned a 2002 M3 Coupe, and I had one of the fairly rare slick top versions, very lightweight, no options. So it was an ideal track car.
Yep.
But on days like today, which have had 2 weeks straight, and we got another 10 days coming, the top has not been up for 2 weeks. And the combination of performance with that S54, it's the same engine, same driveline, 6-speed manual in this case, it is just so much fun. And, you know, with the top down and the windows down, the center of gravity is even lower than a coupe.
And what's it good for when the center of gravity is so low?
Well, for being a hooligan, I think.
Doing donuts.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, it looks amazing from every angle. And you were telling me, right, you were parked up next to a couple of McLarens, and everybody was asking you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. You know, I was $500,000 worth of cars parked in our neighborhood last night for the block party, and I'm sure people noticed them pulling in. You know, but when we arrived on the scene, and we had 4 chairs sitting back there. Neighbors came over and wanted to know what it was. They knew it was BMW, but they hadn't seen a model like this.
Yeah, and I rarely see the convertible around.
Well, you know, they made 56,000 plus coupes.
Yep.
And only 29,633 convertibles. So the convertibles are much rarer.
Yeah, and if you want, like I mentioned, the S54, have an M3 and get it at a lower price point, this is the way to go, especially, you know, like you mentioned, days like today. Now, you do give up some of the aspects of the structural rigidity compared to the coupe, because when you drive this, you do feel a little bit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, there's significantly more body flex, because, you know, the only thing holding it together is the bottom portion of the car. I mean, it does have the cross bracing. You may have noticed the front strut brace is not there.
Yeah,
the coupe gets. The coupe also gets the rear spoiler.
Yep,
but you know me, I think that's just extra weight. So yeah, there's definitely more chassis flex, which is typical of convertibles, and it's heavier, especially this one, because it has the you know, all the options. So this car is probably one of the heaviest variants at about 3,780 pounds. The slick top coupe was down around 3,380.
I mean, 3,700 pounds, that's lightweight compared to modern day vehicles.
Right, right, yeah, compared to modern day cars. And, you know, 333 horsepower by today's standards is fairly low.
Yep.
But when you consider the fact that you've got this high revving inline six, it's inherently balanced, super smooth, like cutting through the butter.
Yep.
The throttle response, because it's naturally aspirated, is instant. There's no lag. So when you couple that with that sweet slick shift in 6-speed and that locking rear diff, the joy factor really goes up pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I wouldn't necessarily track this car. I think I've seen a couple people, but they end up putting a cage to strengthen up the frame. But you know, I think the perfect world would be the E46 convertible and then the coupe in my garage. Yeah.
I mean, when I see the grin on your daughter's faces when they're sitting back here, and you saw it too, and you're driving it. You know, that makes up for all the chassis flex.
Yeah,
and if I want to go to a track, I'll just steal your coupe when you're not around.
Which just sits there all the time. Yeah, and it's like, for me, it's a great weekend vehicle at its price point, and for you, it's probably a daily driver at this point, right?
Yeah, you know, this one has high miles, but it drives very nice, and it's just so much fun to drive. My wife, you know, she loves it too. So we've been driving it a lot lately, more than we had expected to. So, you know, if you can find one of these for 12 and a half or 15,000 and enjoy it for a while, you know, it's a no-brainer, I think.
Yeah, and the three things, I mean, when you have a E46 M3 and, you know, it's 20 plus years. Now, this is a 2002, so it's 22 years old. A couple more years and it's a collectible, probably. You know, the rod bearings is an issue if you track it. I mean, if you're constantly doing oil changes, I don't see that being an issue. Like my M3, I've been tracking it for 10 years and I haven't done the rod bearing swap yet or change. The Vanos unit, that definitely does end up going, and you gotta replace that. And then the rear subfloor cracking, that happened on my E46, and that seems to happen on the Coupe. I don't know as rigid as this convertible is, if this has something different, but I haven't heard it.
The fact that this flexes more, it actually puts less strain on the chassis, on the floor. You know, it's not the subframe, it's the issue, it's where it's bolted. I've checked this one out and it's solid.
Yeah.
Of course, it's an Arizona car, so it has no corrosion, which is really nice. You mentioned oil changes. You know, BMW initially didn't specify 10W60 for these engines.
Yep.
And after I had a few failures, I switched to 1060, which is you know, fairly heavy oil and pretty expensive. But that seemed to make the problems go away. So frequent oil changes, let's say every 5,000 miles with the BMW OEM filter and BMW 10W60 Castrol oil. I've seen these well over 200,000 miles.
Yeah, my friend has one with 240,000 miles on it. And the best part about this chassis is it's easy to work on.
Yeah, it's, you know, the last of the, you know, pretty much analog, fairly simple, easy to work on.
With that, my name is Jag.
I'm Boris.
And we'll see you later.